Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Ghost Pilots for the Neo Geo CD. Developed and published by SNK, it was released in arcades and on consoles in 1991. It's set during World War II and has you playing as an ace mercenary pilot, taking on the Nazis in your kick-ass seaplane. And that's about it. It's light on plot, but who really cares? It's a shoot 'em up. You are good. Everything else is bad. Seek and destroy. This premise has been used to striking effect in, every other shooter ever. And it still hasn't worn thin. It's amazing. Ghost Pilots is a real throwback shooter. It's very reminiscent of Capcom's 1940 series. The gameplay is extremely simple. You start with a weak shot, and as you destroy enemies and strings of red planes in particular, you get power-ups that increase the spread of your shot. You don't get any fancy lasers or flamethrowers, no choice of power-ups. You've just got that one basic shot type. You also have a number of different types of bombs to choose from depending on what stage you're playing. They're all really destructive, and you can earn more as you play through each stage. Other than that, there's not much to say about Ghost Pilots. It's a very bare-bones shooter, but still really fun. One thing that I don't like, though, is that you return to your starting power level after getting hit just once. This makes Ghost Pilots a much more difficult game. Eventually, the difficulty really starts to ramp up, and you're bombarded with tons of enemies and bullets, and you just feel ill-equipped to deal with everything that's being thrown at you, when all you have to defend yourself is your basic pea shooter. So this is a fun shoot 'em up, but also an incredibly frustrating one at times. Ghost Pilots features some pretty decent presentation. The graphics are nice. There are lots of different planes and tanks that are all World War II appropriate and look good. The bosses, on the other hand, are gigantic and more fantastic, with all kinds of weapons slapped all over them. The stages look great and typically feature a lot of color and detail. Despite not being set in space or the future, it's still visually interesting. The sound design is pretty good too. The soundtrack doesn't exactly stand out or anything, but it's not bad. It never got irritating or unpleasant, but it didn't knock my socks off either. The sound effects are pretty great though. The sounds of the planes, tanks, and explosions are all really good and powerful sounding. So on the whole, these aren't exactly the best graphics you'll see on the system or the best songs you'll hear on it, but for what it is and when it came out, it's perfectly acceptable. So this is a really simple, challenging, and fun game. It's not the first shooter on the console that I'd recommend, but it is enjoyable. If you take a look online, it can be found on CD for about $50, and more for the MVS and AES carts. So if you can spare the cash, and you like old school WW2 shoot 'em ups, then Ghost Pilots might just be right up your alley. Check it out.